I'm Ben Morse, along with Nolan Casper. We'll be presenting to you today the investigation of the President's Houses at Dartmouth College within the context of the first year seminar art history class, 2011. So by now you're probably asking, what is the point of this video? Nolan and I would really like to make the claim that this current President's House, 1 Tuck Drive, is the most dignified residence to have ever existed at Dartmouth College, and it most prominently exudes the values of traditionalism, refinement, and affluence, which are concurrent with the values exuded by Dartmouth as an institution.
To appreciate the grandeur of the current President's House, we must look back at the 9 previous houses and see which values that they portrayed. We will touch on a few of these houses, including the Lord and Wheelock houses, as they are 2 of the 4 that are left standing. Does this look like the current President's House? Clearly it doesn't. You can tell by its white clapboard siding and its apparent minute size compared to the current house that it isn't big enough to support guests for the President and the presidential events that he must hold. So where I'm sitting at is the Wheelock House. This was built in 1773 and housed the President, Eleazar Wheelock and John Wheelock, until 1815. Now this is one of four President's houses that are still standing, and it was first built on Dartmouth Hill and moved twice before setting here, that is now the Roberts Flowers on West Wheelock Street. So the Wheelock Mansion, at the time, exuded great values, and it's a really extravagant building when it was built back in 1773. And as you can see, it's still a pretty grand building for the times, and potentially why it still exists today. Here we have the Randall House, which served as the President's House from 1865 to 1877. As you can see, it was of a residential design and not particularly conducive to official entertaining. Interestingly, this is a montage of the Randall House during a fire. And now this is the 43 North College Street home that hosted Dartmouth's presidents from 1893 to 1924. Note the multitude of awkward angles in the roofline that make for a unique structure, but not the stately type of residence that you'd expect for the president of an Ivy League school.
So here we are, finally at the current President's House on 1 Tuck Drive. We're actually on Webster Ave, and behind me you can see this colonial revival with Georgian red brick house. Unfortunately, we can't get inside. We ran into a lot of red tape when we approached the President's office, so we're going to have to do all of our discussions today from a distance.
And now it's story time with Benjamin Morse.
In Scott Meacham's book, A Campus Guide to Dartmouth College, he says, if Tucker made Dartmouth what it is today, the big intra-war presidency of Ernest Martin Hopkins refined the college. So, take yourself back. We're in the late 19th century. President William Jewett Tucker is establishing the new Dartmouth man. He's creating values of traditionalism, and he's instituting new things like Dartmouth Night. People are really starting to connect with Dartmouth after graduation, and their loyalty is really expanding. This translates to this current story of the President's House, because in 1922, Edward Tuck future benefactor of Tuck Business School, was in contact with President Hopkins, and he wanted to continue Tucker's vision of refining and establishing tradition within Dartmouth. He wanted to do this through the construction of a proper president's house. Never before had the president of Dartmouth College had a house of his own, constructed for him from the beginning, and none of them had been suitable for proper entertaining of official guests.
You're on the air. So they won't let us into their house, but there's some gaps beneath the gate that I think I can crawl under and get inside. You think you're skinny enough, Nolan? I might have to lose some weight first, but if not, I might get spiked on top of the fence. We'll see what happens.
Now back to story time with Benjamin Morris.
Within these initial letters from Edward Tuck to President Hopkins, he had expressed his willingness to donate $50,000 for the construction of the new house. They hired Peabody, Wilson & Brown, a firm out of New York, who was well known for their construction of Rockefeller homes, obviously a large family within America at that time. Initially, construction went as planned. Initial contracts spec'd the expense of the house at $48,000. However, using the best materials that New England had to offer, they quickly went over this cap and eventually spent $112,000. Within this process, decisions such as wallpaper became very important, believe it or not. They discussed finding antique wallpaper with Olympic emblems on it from Europe, and they were going to peel this wallpaper off, ship it to America, and put it on the walls of the president's house. Thankfully, they avoided the extra cost, yet still, $112,000 was nearly double the original amount Tuck had been willing.
Alright, we're here, doing some reconnaissance behind the president's house, peering through the metal bars, hoping someone doesn't see us and freak out. You can see the kids' play set right there, and then the back side of the house. There's somebody drinking tea on the porch there. Unidentified person.
Story time part 3. The final saga with Benjamin Morris.
So the house is finally constructed. President Hopkins moves in 1926. And at last, the president of Dartmouth College has a proper residence. He's able to entertain, utilizing the open floor plan on the first floor with almost a circuit of meeting rooms, libraries, and great spaces to entertain. As you can see here, this family is coming up to play. This is perfect. Totally unplanned. If you can zoom in, that would be great.
I can't get over there.
We'll continue with the story nevertheless. The house doesn't undergo really any major renovations until summer of 2009, when President Kim is first inaugurated. He lives in Rope Ferry Road in a temporary residence, and $2.8 million of renovations are done upon the house. The bedrooms are remodeled, the kitchen is remodeled, handicap access is put on the front left of the house, and it's just made overall modern, brought back to the standard that it should be. And although we have not been able to get inside, reports are that it is very, very nice. In a recent survey of 75 Dartmouth students, they all rated the values that are exuded by the president's house. They said that affluence, refinement, and traditionalism are the most prominent values exuded by the house. Would you, first of all, agree with that assessment?
I don't pay too much attention to the president's house when I come down here, but yeah, it looks like a very nice house, sure. I'd say so.
In transitioning, when you think of Dartmouth as an institution, would you agree that affluence, traditionalism, and refinement are prominent values exuded by the institution?
I would say those are accurate words. I think that's definitely the stereotype of Dartmouth.
I think tradition is a very good way to put it. The way that it stands, the whole ivy on the chimney and things. it definitely like screams tradition. And whether or not you say affluent, like whether or not it screams affluent, I think is kind of irrelevant because it kind of shows like strength, traditionalism, and like kind of like it's like a very like a nice like signature of this college, But when you do have something like this, it's something to appreciate. I think it's something that people can't be like, oh well, presidents look like modeling by affluence or whatever. I think it's given to him, and it's something that we've had for a while, and it's just something that's nice and something that's refined and something that just kind of leads by just being there and being traditional.
You heard it. Dartmouth students really do appreciate the current President's House on One Tuck Drive as a cultural landscape. President Tucker's new Dartmouth ideals led to a more active role for future presidents within the world and college community. In conclusion, the value of affluence is evident in the disparity between the originally estimated price and the final construction costs of the One Tuck Drive house. $50,000 compared to $112 is exorbitant. In addition, the recent $2.8 million of renovations completed in the summer of 2009 show the high level of affluence that has always been associated with this president's house.
Additionally, the value of traditionalism is shown in the current president's house. Its architectural style of colonial revival, with the use of red bricks in the common Georgian revival style, shows that the college really places an emphasis on traditional buildings for a traditional landscape. Finally, refinement is radiated by the current president's house through its elegant and cultured appearance, with the pristine landscaping, clean roof lines, stately curved drive appearance, and general nature of the property.
On a visit to Dartmouth College in 1953, President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower, said, "This is what a college campus should look like." No statement more powerfully affirms the values of Dartmouth College and the values of the current president's house at One Tuck Drive.
Dear old Dartmouth, give a rouse for the college on the hill, for the lone pine above her, and the loyal ones who love her. Give a rouse with a will, for the sons of old Dartmouth, the daughters of Dartmouth. Though round the girdled earth they roam, her spell on them remains. They have the still north in their hearts, the hill winds in their veins, and the granite of New Hampshire in their muscles and their brains. And the granite of New Hampshire in their muscles and their brains.